I'm Hamid from Zabul in Iran. Today I want to talk about conflict resolution of water resource allocation in the Euphrates River basin using Bankruptcy Method. 35 to 40% of the world population live in Trans-Congo River basin, and 15 countries have 75% or more of their territory in such basin. Based on Trans-Congo Freshwater Dispute Database, or TFDD, 276 Trans-Congo freshwater river basins are shared among almost 148 countries. These basins cover nearly half of the Earth's land surface area. The basic challenge at these basins happens when riparian water demands are more than available water resource in the shared river. As it is shown in this figure, the United States Census Bureau estimated that the world population would exceed 7 billion at 2012. However, the United Nations Population Fund estimated that it reached this at 2011. According to UN report, at 1996, water use had been growing at more than twice the rate of the population increases. As you can see during this century, and already a number of regions are currently water short. About 1/3 of the world population lives in countries that are experiencing moderate to high water stress, resulting in part from increasing demand fueled by population growth and human activity. And human activity refers to changing in lifestyle and increasing welfare level. The Euphrates River is the longest river in Western Asia. This river has three riparian countries: Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. The Euphrates River begins in mountains of eastern Turkey by connecting to rivers the Karasu or Western River and the Muratsu or Eastern River. Euphrates River emerges. It then flows from Turkey southwest into Syria and then bisects that country before turning eastward and entering into Iraq and then connects to Arman route, which empties into Persian Gulf. The length of river from the source of the Murat River to the confluence in Tigris is 3,000 kilometers. After the First World War and signing the scientific agreement, Ottoman Empire partitioned into Arab world, including Iraq and Syria and the Republic of Turkey. At 1936, Turkey proposed to separate the development of project on Tigris River and Euphrates River. This separated project had managed to establish the South Anatolia project, or in Turkey GAP project, in southeast of Turkey. At 1987, a bilateral treaty was signed between Turkey and Syria, which indicated that Turkey, as an upstream stakeholder, should release at least 500 cubic meters per second of water of the Euphrates River, or about 16 million cubic meters at the border to Syria. 2 years later, at 1989, Iraq and Syria signed an agreement in which Syria was committed to release 16% of water at the boundary of Turkey and Syria to Iraq. But despite these obligations, Turkey had been cut off the flow since 2014, which led to a huge water scarcity in Iraq and Syria, and its consequences is visible even in other countries. As shown in this figure and table, riparian countries contributed for the raining to Euphrates River, and their demands are right followed. It is obvious that Turkey has the highest contribution, the blue one. Also, Iraq has the highest demand. It has no contribution in Euphrates River water. Now, we want to talk about bankruptcy problem. Consider a man or company who is bankrupted and his assets are fewer than total creditor demand. Bankruptcy theory will tell us how to allocate available resources among the stakeholders to reach an equitable share of resources. And I note, equitable use does not mean equal use. Bankruptcy theory is a branch of cooperative game theory It can be used in dispute resolution and resource allocation when demands are more than the available resource. A bankruptcy problem is a set of n claimants in an ordered pair of A and C where claims are sorted in descending manner, which E is between 0 and D, such that the total demand is equal D. E is the estate which has to be divided among n claimants, or in other words, is available assets. In fact, claimant I advanced a claim of CI on E. So, an allocation rule is a function that assigns to every bankruptcy problem a solution such that f of E and C for each creditor should be more than 0, that refer to individual rationality, and the sum of the total allocation should be equal to available assets, which is referred to efficiency. In this article, 6 different bankruptcy methods, including proportional, adjusted proportional, constant equal award, constant equal losses, pennies, and minimal overlap, are applied in allocation of Euphrates River. Then the result will compare with each other. At the first, we explain proportional. Allocation in this method is proportional to a state claim. So more claim gain more. At this method, each claimant receives E per of his request. So in mathematical mode, when there are n claimants, we have by proportional rule xi equal to rho I. By this method, all creditors achieve an equal percent of their claim. The adjusted proportional rule, or AP, which is a generalization of two-player contested garment principle, which is after in Babylonian Talmud, recommends the allocation of volume 5. This method considers more per stakeholder with more claims. Constant equal award, or CEA, is one of the prevailing methods in allocating less. CEA assigns its agent an equal share of the resources, subject to no agent receiving more than its claim. CEL assigns each state a share of the resources such that their losses compared to their claim are equal, subject to no agent receiving a negative share. Penny rule results from a double application of constant equal award rule once for a situation that asset is less than half of claim, and once asset is equal or more than half of total claim. Therefore, as it is obvious, this rule uses the top claim instead of claim themselves. And I don't explain about minimal overlap. It's by photos. So we don't have enough time.
3 minutes and 42 seconds.
There are 4 doctrines for allocating resource. According to absolute territorial sovereignty, or ATS, upstream state can freely utilize water in an arbitrary manner without considering the right of downstream contiguous state, and modern experts dismiss this doctrine. Absolute territorial integrity is the lower right permanent state logical counterpart to absolute territorial sovereignty. It should be noted that nowadays there is little support for the violation stories of absolute territorial sovereignty or integrity. The limited territorial sovereignty and integrity, or LTSI, stipulates that all water course states have an equal right to the utilization of a shared resource, and each agent must respect the sovereignty and reciprocal right of other agents. This rule is based on the maxim that says, use your property in such a way not to injure others. The concept of community of best interest indicated the current trend and future general direction in which the law and practice in this field appear to be moving toward. It derived from the idea that the community of interest in the water is created by the natural, physical, and also social unity of the water course. By its nature, water is a common property and should be shared by the community. At this figure, allocation to claim ratio is illustrated by percent, as we see the method of CA allocate the lowest percent of water to Iraq, the most downstream agent, by CL and MO, allocate the highest percent of water to this country. For the most upstream country, Turkey, the biggest percent of water was allocated by CA, and the lowest one allocated by MO and CL. Accordingly, CA is preferable for upstream countries, while CL and MO are preferable for downstream countries. Also, the highest and lowest allocation percentage to Syria are assigned by CL, and MO respectively. So we can conclude that CA is near to ATS and CL and MO both are near to API doctrines. Among the groups, the nearest rule to LTSI is Pinner's rule. So we suggest the Pinner's rule as the best rule among these bankruptcy rules. There is not any documented method to choose the best allocation rule. However, the appropriate rule is a rule that satisfies the stakeholder more, but satisfaction depends on some factors including allocation of claim ratio, rate of contribution, the amount to downstream estate with the development in upstream countries, compensation to downstream countries, rates of development for upstream countries, and etc. The Article 6 of the UN Water Coast Convention accounts some factors that should be considered for equitable and reasonable utilization of an international water code. Almost all the factors, especially factors D, E, F, and G, emphasize that all kinds of development along the water course should consider existing use of the water course, which is referred to historical use of water course. However, it should be considered that historical use is different from historical rise. It should also be noted that the allocation of shared water resources is a complicated procedure that we couldn't solve it by some mathematical methods only. In this paper, based on community of interest, we suggest water diplomacy and triple negotiation between Turkey, Syria, and Iraq to build a consensus and reach an agreement on Euphrates water allocation. Thank you so much, and sorry. I want 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I hesitated to show you the red one, but you have just make it